Welcome back, everybody. A great Sunday to have. It's a beautiful day out here and in the shy. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for always supporting me. Again, if you want to see the video, some people were saying it wasn't giving me. You have to like and subscribe down below. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about religions. I'm going to be talking about the immigrants and just things that's going on here and some things to avoid. Now, I have a guest that's going to be coming on, and we're going to be talking about nonprofits as well because he has a nonprofit and different cultures that he was in. So I want you guys to, if you want to be part of the show and you want to be a guest on the show, you can also go to Princess Dempsey Show at yahoo.com to be a guest. That's Princess Dempsey Show at yahoo.com. And just go ahead and let us know you want to be a guest so my producers to invite you in. However, I do thank you so much, and I do thank you for guests that does come on the show. However, let me go ahead and introduce you to no other than Mr. and Jerome Altman. He has a nonprofit called Exodus. So, Mr. Jerome Altman, go come on to the show. Let's talk about what's going on, Jerome.
It's going on. It's going on.
So we were talking, and I was introducing you, and I know you have Exodus. Tell us a little about Exodus. What is Exodus?
Well, Exodus is a nonprofit that I and my co-founder put together in 1997, and it was based on us working in the community, working with our young through our kids. We originally started out working with parents or grandparents who were trying to raise their um, grandkids because of the mothers or lack of mothers and fathers. And
Mm,
so, pardon?
I say interesting.
Yeah. And so from that point, we went into the arena that I call to begin to work with these young kids. And on was based on us having a nonprofit. So we were incorporated then, and then in 1986 we elevated to a 501c3.
Mm.
So we've worked with a lot of churches. We've worked with politicians. We've worked in the area of just trying to help raise our young kids. And as I shared, that we started out based on the young people who were dealing with uh, grandparents trying to raise the kids of their daughters and sons.
So, what was their daughters and sons if they wasn't in the house?
Well, most of them were a lot of times it's young are younger people that have kids at an early age and they're not ready to raise them. So what they would do is they'd leave them with the grandparents. So our goal was helping them to relieve a lot of that pressure from trying to take care of these grandkids.
Okay, how was you
Uh,
doing that? Like, I mean, you saying you was relieving a lot of pressure, but how were you doing that? I mean, what was they doing? What activities was you giving them? I mean, how was you relieving pressure?
well, what we were doing is we had a music program where we would teach our young people how to advance themselves through the music industry, which in turn gives them discipline, gives them chance to get out of the community, uh, development, and really getting them out into the community. Based on a lot of our young folks have been address the issue of sometimes they've never been downtown, or a lot of them they don't even go off the block. So we were opening up the channels to move them around into the different arenas, and that's part of why we called it Exodus.
So how many and you've done a lot of kids through the years since you've been in business for a minute. How many kids are in the program now?
Well, right now we have, I'd say about 75 in the program.
Where?
Well, we're at
Because
our
I
location on Laramie and Chicago Avenue.
ain't no 75 people in that building. So how many people do you have?
Well, I mean, on our roster we have 75, but
Right. I was there,
we
but ain't nobody in there.
well we work with different churches as well. Like today, I was telling you I did what was the thing today? Uh, the march.
So how many kids were there?
I had about 20 there today.
Okay.
20 kids.
So 20 from 75 is a big number. So my question to you is, with these non-for-profits, since you have one, who is funding the non-for-profits?
Um, we basically support ourselves. We do have
So you
one.
don't get grant money. So non-for-profits don't get any money from the government, the state, the federal, nothing.
Oh yeah, they give you money in spurts or whatever. They give you the grants, and of course, as you know, grants only they're not lifetime things. It could be a grant for 6 months. It could be 2 years. You know, um, so we have supporters that help us work with the kids.
Such as,
We work with Westside Health Authority. We work with uh,
but aren't they a non-for-profit as well?
oh yeah, definite, definite. We share services. A lot of times, what happens is that in the nonprofit field, you're not. You can only give uh, whatever your grant allows. So what we do is we partner with other organizations and share services
Okay. So are the organizations within the same facility or are they outside of Chicago?
outside. Yeah, the outside.
They're outside. So
Yeah.
how does this help? If you're not for profit and it's another not for profit, it's another not for profit, how does the government analyze this? I mean, they're giving you guys money. So how do they know that they're from different organizations? Because you guys are really falling under somebody else's umbrella, correct?
Yeah, I mean that's the way the system is set up. It's not set up to support all of your needs. That's why now in the Grand Arena, they want you to partner with other organizations because they're not going to give you enough uh, to retire. They're only giving you money to support you within the confines of whatever the grant is. The grant could be 2 years, it could be 1 year, it could be 30 days.
So the grant pretty much is free money, just like we're giving free money to immigrants right now.
Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah.
So again,
They,
like we're giving free money to these immigrants. There's no accountability because how do we know where they're spending their money? We're just giving them house. We're just giving a lot of stuff away. Are they literally looking for jobs?
well, I would say that they're looking for definitely looking for jobs, but of course, in the arena,
They're begging.
it's
I see people still out there begging, saying, "Can you give me this? Can you give you that? Oh, I need this." But the employment have went up, and people still on the streets begging.
well. Then you have to take in consideration that so many businesses are closing out,
Mm.
uh, and so what that does is that's minimizing uh, the resources as far as what's known as in the city. Now in the suburbs, it may be a little bit different, but of course, the migrants have been dropped off in Chicago. So
Well,
Chicago
Governor
is
Pritzker and Mary Lightford, they the ones signed a bill that said we would be a central city. That wasn't under Brandon Johnson because it was already coming over here. They signed
right,
that we were
exactly.
going to be a city. And then, but the point is, I don't think anybody had a plan in place on how to house as a central city. They didn't have a plan in place. And I don't think Nothing's been done because nobody's doing a background check, nobody's doing a medical check. So how we just bringing people over here and nothing's really being, you know, executed. It isn't.
Well, I just feel that they have their own agenda. I mean, they're just not dropping them
Who's
off
they?
here to part
Who's they? You said they had their own agenda.
the
Who's
powers that be. I mean,
how to be?
I would the powers that be.
Who?
Um,
Don't be scared to say their name. Who? Who you think?
but I can't say an actual name, but I would say that it's actual uh, system that is in place. The governor gets it, but he passes it on to whatever that department is that handles that.
Okay, but who created that department? That it just can't just pop up, bam, out of nowhere. Somebody in one organization, whether it's the governor office, because the governor office had to put something in place to say that we were going to be a sanctuary city, and all of a sudden, Chicago became a sanctuary city. But he's not the governor of Chicago; he's the governor of the state of Illinois. So why wasn't places that have empty lots? Because you can go all through Springfield, have empty spots. Why wasn't they placed there? Why was they placed in Chicago?
Well, because they designated certain cities, not states, cities to be the uh, to accept them, and so of course, behind the scenes, we weren't. Uh, they did not let us know they were coming, and so these cities that they sanctioned were the ones that received. Because I believe it's one in Houston, it's in New York.
Mhm.
Um, those are the other two that I know of. So those cities are the ones where they began to drop them off.
So my
Of course,
question
they
to you, because you're saying all these cities, I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about Chicago because I'm in Chicago.
exactly.
How does it affect your non-for-profit and your programs? Because, like you said, right now, currently, your program is partnering with other nonprofit. How does that affect your program with these individuals coming in? Are you covering them, or are you covering the people that's currently here? How does that affect that?
No, I'm only covering the people that are here.
Mm.
You know, those people are under a different, a whole different tax bracket, so to speak. You know, they don't pay taxes. They can't pay taxes because they're not citizens. So as far as the process that they're going through with them, it's almost as if they are actually just moving them in. And that's why I say those people, the powers that be, have their own agenda. They know what they're trying to do, and they're not telling us, and we're not asking.
What is affecting us right now?
Exactly,
Because right
definitely
now we have businesses in Chicago that are closing. They're closing their doors and they're trying to get out of Chicago. So again, as I stated many times before, if we begin to close those businesses, crime is going to be eventually spread into the suburbs. It's going to come.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is that uh, they're closing the schools, and so on the other end of it, why would you be closing the schools if you're bringing in all of the migrants? If you're bringing in all the migrants, why would you be closing all the schools? So because they're in the schools now.
Oh, they are doing what?
Oh yeah. Pardon?
What they're doing in the schools?
They're students. When they move into the community with kids, the kids are enrolling in the schools.
How are they enrolling with no identification? How are they enrolling with no social, no U.S.? How?
Well, you know, the you know, you being part of the nonprofit, not the nonprofit, but the job arena, they're still using. Uh, they give them a tax number. They don't. They're not citizens, and even if they decide to make them citizens, they're not going to tell us. You know, they're just going to process them. And so, uh, as I shared with you, even if they are not citizens, they can work, but you cannot charge them taxes because they're
So
not citizens.
they can work, don't get charged tax, and they can go to our schools
No,
where
no, I mean they can work, but there's not. They don't pay taxes.
I got that. But what I'm saying
Yeah,
now we're enrolling them in our schools where we're paying our tax dollars for kids to be in school because that goes off of people's tax roll. So how is that possible? Because the homeowners are going to get taxed.
Exactly. But what they're doing is right now they're going through an election process of trying to put in school board representatives from the community, as opposed to they used to do where they appoint them. So that probably is definitely going to come up. How are they processing the migrants and allowing them to get into school and then into the schools because they're not sitting at home watching TV. So they're allowing them to enroll in the schools.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, our kids can't even get a good education, and we're failing left and right in our school districts, but then still be enrolling immigrants. So my next question is, I talked about, you told me some things, and it was kind of interesting. Name some of the things that you were a part of, not with the Illuminati. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Eastern Star.
No, well, I'm definitely not part of the Illuminati. No, I'm not part of the Illuminati. I understand the process of becoming a part of the Illuminati, and based on the higher above system, and you when you think about it, there's so many different. I'm not going to say programs, but processes that are going on, and so when we look at what we allow to be a part of, people make choices. Some people make good choices. Some people make bad choices, but some of them make choices not based on anything good. Sometimes it's based on an opportunity that they think that they have because they don't do the research. It could be money. It could be one of the organizations.
So let me get to the, because you're beating around the bush, and I don't do that. What organizations was you a part of?
I think you're referring to the Masonic.
Okay.
I've been in different churches, under different churches. So I work with a lot of different organizations, but sometimes you have to go in to learn to understand it.
Okay,
and a lot of times
Masonic. What is Masonic? Explain to me what Masonic is.
Well, the Masonic order is an order that was generated based on building of the mind. It's what it's supposed to. It's supposed to be the rebuilding of the mind.
Is that one eye thing that y'all do? The one eye thing?
No, well, that's way up there in the one eye. I don't do the one eye. That's part of the Illuminati. Now, the other thing is to become a part of the Illuminati, you have to go through the same order of the Masonic. In other words, it's a whole different level. It's like kindergarten, first grade, grade school, high school.
Wow. So what level did you make it to?
Yeah, well, I made it 32 degrees.
32 degrees. So you was in a cult.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, it's a cult.
Well, you want to say it's a cult, but, and I think we talked about that. How do we, a lot of things we could say are cults, but I think that is the gang world a cult?
Well, I'm the one asking the question, so you answer my question. I'm not asking. This is
my. I only brought that up because there's so many.
Now, let's be talking about you. You said you was a 33 degrees Mason. That's a cult. As far as the gang is concerned, that's a cult too. All of it to me. When somebody is you, okay, and you are actually following the order of something else, it becomes cultural because they setting in the churches. Are they setting you up with women and wives?
No.
So you don't meet your wife in the same religions?
Well, I mean, you can, but that's
yes or
that's
no?
That's an individual thing.
Okay, so
they're not saying, hey, you got to marry a woman from the ministry. No.
So somebody can be outside of the ministry?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you
Now, I mean, in the ministry that I was in, it was like that in the beginning,
okay.
and that's been over 10 years ago for me.
In the beginning, when you was in that ministry, let's slow it down. You had to, you couldn't marry outside of the ministry. Is that correct?
They wouldn't advise it,
Oh, and my answer is that
but you
correct?
could.
It's a
No, no,
yes.
no.
Is yes. So they would advise, so you couldn't marry outside of the religion. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Again, it's a code because whenever somebody is controlling and they telling you you're in this ministry and you can't marry outside of the ministry, you want to marry
Hmm.
the ministry, and then they have you at least doing things 5 or 6 times a day, right? You got to go to this, you got to go to. Am I correct?
100%.
Okay, so it's I'll say it's cult tendencies, okay, because that's what they do. They get you people involved. They want, saying now you're marrying somebody that is a part of that ministry or part of that organization because that's what they want you to do. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I mean, it's the
How do
you
they
said
recruit? How do they
go
recruit?
ahead.
What's the recruiting process?
Well, you have to. Are you talking about that specific church or?
Talk about anything that you get into, like Masonic. What was their process of how did they find you? How did they get to you?
Well, I was referred.
Oh, so you got to be jumped in. Somebody that refer you.
Somebody has to refer you. Same thing with Illuminati. Somebody has to refer you. They don't just walk down the street grabbing people.
Mm.
And so when you come in, you're coming in based on whoever's referring you will vouch for you. And when I went into the Masonic ministry, I believe it was back in 1984. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a long time. But of course, when I went in, I wasn't aware of wasn't aware of the history, and I wasn't aware of the future. Because I was afraid. And I believe that same process goes with whether or not you're in a gang, whether or not you.
We're not talking about a game, so don't throw it off at the game. We're talking about the process of this. Because
Oh, okay. Well, that was the process.
talk to a gang, I can talk
1980,
to a gang and get them on.
1984,
Well,
when I became a part of it.
okay, so what was the process? I mean, so somebody invited you. We got that
Yeah.
to come into
Mhm.
the or they. No, I'm sorry, they referred you to
Exactly.
master for you to go into the process, and then they began
Exactly.
training you. Correct?
Yeah. I was recruited and went through the process.
Mm. Did they say, "Hey, this is a secret. You can't tell nobody"?
Yes, of course. Of course.
It's a secret society. And now you can go on the internet and everybody know.
Well, that's what it was. It was not a secret society. It was a society that had secrets. That's why you can go on the internet and see the whole process. You can go on the internet and see the whole process of Illuminati. Now, the problem is who believes it?
But if
Who
you was
believes they actually?
so how far did you have to go up? If you was a 33-degree Mason, that means you was in it for a minute. What is the highest tier?
Well, I mean, that's part of it's called the Blue House. Then you go to the Red House. Then you go to Shriners. Then you go to Muslim.
Hmm.
Now,
So
well, you
that's
don't want to talk about the Illuminati, but
that's
go
what I
ahead.
was talking about all. So there's steps to the process.
To the Masonic process, not the Illuminati.
What's the
That's a
difference?
different process.
What's the difference?
The difference is that they're on a whole different level. In other words, you graduate. Now you can go to the Masonic and go to the first 3 degrees, but when it comes to going to Illuminati, they have a whole different roadmap. They're gonna start you out the same way as the Masonic. But when you go to their level, that's when it gets crazy.
Did y'all have to sacrifice anything?
No, not in Masonic. No.
But in Illuminati?
Oh yeah, you got to give it up.
And what are you
I
really
thought it.
giving?
Pardon?
What are you really giving up?
Well, you're giving up your. Um, you see, you with the Illuminati, it's not about the same order. That order is about them. They're going to compensate you. They're going to compensate you. They're not. See, we don't get compensated in the Masonic order. There's no compensation.
Okay, but
Only thing you. Hmm?
what are you giving up?
Well, you're giving up. Hmm. Well, you're giving up your. I would say myself.
Your
It's
soul?
it's it's devil worship.
Hmm.
Now, understand that there are some orders that are about the mission of the Masonic order. The Masonic order is supposed to be about building your minds and also because you have to understand what a Mason is. A Mason is who builds buildings, builds property, all that kind of
It
stuff.
sounds like
So,
mind control. It sounds like they have to build your mind to be mind control.
well, I mean, it all depends on how you look at it. I mean,
It's
I
a
didn't look at it as no mind control for myself. I looked at it as what it was. It was about relationship with God, and
Oh, y'all put God
uh,
in it too? Oh, okay.
oh yeah, he's in it. He's definitely in it. But
Which God is y'all serving? Because it can't be my heavenly Father. So what God is y'all serving? The goat God? What God is y'all serving?
well, the God that's your worshipful master.
From who? Asking.
See, we're getting into this the dynamics of it, but I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay.
Uh, See, I serve God.
You said
Okay, so pardon?
you said from aspirin?
No, no. I said I serve God. So my uh, experience with it is to serve God. One of the things that we were supposed to process is widows and orphans.
Huh?
Right, widows and orphans.
Okay.
Widows are the women, and orphans are the children.
Hmm. So what were you
Okay,
doing with the women and the children?
pardon?
What were you doing with the women and the children?
Well, the women, you have to take care of the women. I mean, not physically take care of them, but uh, you have to take care of the women and you have to take care of the children because
Mm.
we're the men. Now, what has happened with the order is it's become diluted. And so I talk with other people that are part of it, and they give their version of why they became a part of it.
And what are some of their reasons of why they became part of it?
Well, they want to get out of tickets,
Get out of
you know.
ticket. With them.
Yeah. You go to the judge and give him the sign, and then he'll toss out your ticket. It's supposed to be a fellowship.
Okay.
And so when you say the cult part of it, uh, I don't think that we get into it or be a part of it because we wanted to be a part of the cult. So I never looked at the cult till down the road when I began to study the uh, the other side of it, and that's when I was told that it was a cult. And I said, no, I don't believe in the devil, and that's not true. I'm not gonna say that I don't believe in the devil. I don't worship the devil.
So how did you end up getting out of it? Since you were
Well,
studying.
it's not a getting out of it. It's just that you just denounce it. I don't see when you get in. Once you get in, it's a financial thing. It's your time. You know, and one of my biggest concerns with it was the financial end. You got to pay dues. You have to, uh, it becomes a business.
Mhm.
That's why there's some orders that are working with widows and orphans, which is the kids.
And you keep
Now,
calling.
once you stop paying those dues, then you're not recognized as a member. That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So the larger
Yeah,
conferences and stuff that they go to, that's where they will hold their meetings, correct?
exactly.
So in broad daylight, they're showing us right there. This is what we're doing.
Well, I mean, that's why I said that it's not a secret, or it just has secrets, right?
Now, have you ever had to do something that you was uncomfortable with doing?
Um, Uncomfortable. No, because I was never, I wasn't in it to on that level, because my relationship with it was to work with really working with kids. And what I saw was that they weren't interested in that.
Hmm.
They weren't interested. We had to go through the um, sisters, and the sisters weren't interested.
Hmm. And so, what you mean they wasn't interested in working with
Well,
kids?
my partner and I, we wanted to raise up the children. We wondered why there was never an order for kids.
Hmm.
And so they would always tell us you got to get permission from the sisters to work with the kids.
Oh wow.
And the sisters didn't see that as important.
So now, speaking of all of this, what do you think about? And I'm hearing that the gang members in Chicago and other places are now recruiting the migrants. What's your thought about that?
Well, I mean, I think my thought on it is that it's no different than um, the same order. When I wanted to be a part of it, I wanted to be a part of it because all of my fellow workers, and we had a relationship that said that you're protected. All of us. We had it was like a brotherhood, and I think the same thing that happens with the migrants, and because from what I see, they whatever was going on in their other country, is no different than what's going on here. In other words, uh, they want to belong.
Hmm. Even if
It's the same type of recruitment that we have here. Same recruitment we had with the order. There are people out there recruiting them
so, are they still recruiting the Masonic? Is that still going on?
all the time,
Hmm.
all the time. I mean, I get groups that come back to me all the time asking me to uh, become a part of their order, and I just tell them that, hey, I'm not interested
Hmm.
because I understand now
Hmm.
what it's all about,
Right, right.
you know, and of course when I went into it, I and that's the whole purpose of it is that when you join it, they're not going to tell you anything. They're going to say, hey, you trust God. And so the person that brings you in says, hey, see, I'm okay. And so, I mean, I went through the process, but it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years later that I even did the research.
And what made you research it?
Well, what made me research was that down the road, when the time came for me, because uh, I began to run into people, and then I would get challenged, or they would I would challenge them, and so in the course of that, uh, I had to be, and then there were people that were literally charging people, give them an application, charge them, and try to get them in. So, plus, I had to understand, am I really going to do what the order says? And I wasn't going to do it. So that's when I began to research. The order says, hey, if just like me sharing what I'm sharing with you, they're going to hurt me. Why would you hurt me if you're my brother?
Mm-hmm.
Because I said what I'm saying to you, when all you got to do now is go. See, the catch is, if you go on the internet or YouTube and look it up, the question is, are you going to believe what you're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything I'm saying is right there on YouTube. It'll tell you how to get in. It'll tell you how to, the whole process to take you all the way through to the Illuminati. So if this is a organization or program that says that because I'm sharing it, I could be, something don't sound right about that.
Not right at all.
But I don't think it's in this day and age now that they're following that
Dynamic order.
Right. I don't think they're doing it because it's on the internet. So why would you hurt me for sharing the process?
Right.
So
that's very interesting. So right now, what is your interim goal as far as what you see with your nonprofit and with these immigrants? What is your goal?
well, my goal is to continue to help try to get our own people understanding, instead of trying to blame the migrants. I just look at it from a standpoint of, when we look at Chicago and everything that we've gone through, and how at one time Chicago was more of a white city, and so the whites moved out, and then we took it over. And so when you look at it now, we've had it for I don't know how many years, but I don't really see us uh, trying to make it better. I don't see it now. There are people out here that are trying, but I don't see the people uh, that are day to day and trying to make it. I don't see them trying to build the community. I can understand the system, because on the system, no matter who we are, whether or not we on the top, middle, or the bottom, somebody's got to do the work.
Period.
And so when I look around at our people, I would say it's 50-50 wouldn't be fair, but I'm going to say 50% of the people want to work and 50% don't.
And what culture?
Somebody's got to do the work.
Who's that?
Somebody's got to cut the grass. Somebody's got to do the security. All those things. Somebody has to do it. And so those people that have all the money, they aren't going to do it. They're going to just pay somebody else to do it.
True.
They're not trying to work their family cutting grass. They're paying. So I just look at it from the standpoint of, what are we going to do if we're not trying to do for ourselves? Why are we blaming the migrants?
So at one point, they offered you to house the migrants, correct?
Oh yeah, but I knew that was a joke.
What was that thought process?
Well, I knew it was a joke because they asked me to give them a 6-month lease And I said, well, what happens after that lease?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we'll work that out. No, no. You talking about putting 100 migrants in my building. So after 6 months, what's supposed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were just trying to get fast money
Mm-hmm.
because
And
I
who
knew that didn't make
this
sense.
money that the migrants for housing them, is that going to another non-for-profit organization?
You mean now?
Yes.
Oh, no, they're moving them into property. They're giving them vouchers. They're giving them vouchers. They're moving in. They got all these neighborhoods. Now, we know that they're doing vouchers because how can they pay rent if they don't have a job?
So we're paying the rents.
Exactly. Exactly. But I'm saying, how can they pay rent? Are they working somewhere? Most of them are working on the street.
How do we find so much money when we didn't have any money? How do we find this money?
Well, I mean, I would say that there's nothing but money. When you go into the respect of the budget, and you would understand this, but other people don't understand it. The state has line items. Now we're not investigating those line items. When
Mm,
they say they had what 60 million for homeless, where'd all that money go?
true.
Did they did something with it?
Something happened.
And so then they had all this money for the migrants, but then what happened was the money ran out. They were paying like over $10,000, $15,000 a month to house them in these buildings.
Mm-mm.
Now, the person that wanted me to utilize the building wanted to give me $3,000 a month.
For 6 months.
Yeah, but you're getting 15.
Hmm. Wow. So they was pocketing the money too.
Well, I think what it is that it's like just our conversation. Our conversation is that we don't we have an issue as a people to not want to develop. We want the fast money. It's understandable, but we're not looking at the perfect example. Why are we not trying to house the people that are already here?
True.
Why didn't we go ask the city to stop playing and give us money so these people are not laying around on the street? Now, if you go to Oak Park, River Forest, any of these other towns, you don't see people living on the street.
Now, some of the people that is living on the street, they don't want to go to shelters. They're refusing to go to shelters.
I don't blame them.
Why?
Well, because see, the shelter, you got to remember there's a major issue with, and this probably came back with was it Rauner? I think it was Rauner, the governor, not Rahm. Yeah, Rauner. And when he became governor, what happened was is that he had an issue with the Democrats based on the fact that we were going with what's the other governor uh, that he beat out?
Frisker?
Uh-uh.
Quinn?
Quinn. And so we were all supporting Quinn. So what he did was he utilized balancing the budget by eliminating all these different Democratic programs, which was the organizations, the nonprofits, the what is it called, the mental programs. He eliminated, he cut them. And so I can remember when Bobby Wright, they worked a whole year without being paid.
Oh, wow.
because he had cut the money. And so they didn't want to leave these mental people out there on the street. So now what has happened is that the mental people have been mixed in with the homeless people.
Oh, wow.
That's why you have this massive process of mental people, not homeless people, living on the L's and trains. What they do is they just ride up and down all day. And so now you get on the train and they're sitting there and you looking at them crazy and they looking at you crazy. But the whole thing behind it is that we're not really fighting to get our officials to take that serious. They know these people are riding up and down on these trains.
So what
And,
would take for the elected officials to get serious with this information?
well, because the perfect example, and it's very simple, very elementary. You're closing the schools. Why are you closing these schools and leaving people on the street? What is the plan for that? Why are they? They're not telling us why they're closing these schools.
Hmm.
They're just closing them,
Wow.
displacing the kids or the students. So what are they going to put in those buildings?
Right. Right.
Why not? You spent all of this money housing the immigrants. Why couldn't you take some of those schools and invest the money into those?
Hmm.
Doesn't make sense.
Interesting
And
concept.
and and nobody's questioning it.
Hmm.
These schools over here, they have some of the schools that have uh, 100 students. So you move the migrants in, yet you're putting them in the schools.
Hmm.
Doesn't make sense. You're putting them in the school, but you're closing schools. So at the end of the day, who's going to end up at those schools?
Hmm.
Were they going to put the migrants on a school bus?
Hmm. Interesting.
And so we've already discussed the fact that what's happening is that our students, you know how you send them off to college? Okay, so when they go off to college, guess what? They don't come back. She said they don't come back to help raise the neighborhood.
Interesting.
And so it's all unsafe. Now you brought in a whole uh,
Ethnic group.
another ethnic group to come in, and they're walking around like they don't even know what's going on.
Hmm. Now, people that's watching, if you have any questions, you can definitely email my producer any questions, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. We are live, correct right now, and I have Mr. Jerome Altman on the phone with me, and we're talking some heavy issues here. So I just want to let you know if you do have any questions, feel free to chime in. You are watching the Princess Dempsey Show on our Sunday. So, Mr. Jerome Altman, I really thank you so much for breaking down a lot of things to me today and my viewers so that it could be heard. That's why, it's, people don't understand what's going on in the city. They don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on in the state as far as everything is happening. Did you have any questions or anything that you would like to say to the people who's listening to the show?
Well, I just think that we should really uh, put together our own plan to really address, because at the end of the day, if you paid any attention to it, the city has nothing but money.
Yeah, they finding that money, baby.
And all we have to do really is Google the budget and you'll say, really?
Hmm.
Where is this money going?
Hmm.
And why isn't it not being utilized? And that's the question. Why is it not being utilized? Why are they sending the money to where they want it to go. We're going through right now. We're going through the assessment where they're going to be taxing people, and people are losing their houses for taxes. You know, but so I mean that's where I stand on it. We
Mhm.
should take a look at that budget and question where is this money going.
Absolutely. And I think that anybody should question, especially wherever you live, whether it's the suburbs, whether it's the city, you should always be mindful of the elected official and who is positioned and to question, especially how they're spending, because the expenditure can be a cause and effect, correct?
Definite, definite.
Well, I think you
And
go ahead.
mhm. I was just gonna say one last thing. The city has nothing but money.
Yeah, you're stressing that. And so do the state if that's the case. Because the state got a budget too.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I do thank you so much for spending Sunday with me today. And I appreciate everything that you said and you shared with my viewers. Thank you so much, Mr. Jerome, and you have a great day. Bye bye.
All right. Be safe.
Always. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that you were tuning in. You always can support us by doing a cash app at S Royalty Soul 01. Like I said, again, if you want to be a guest on the show, please feel free to email us at princessdempseyshow@yahoo.com. Now, our show is not scripted. We do not script our show. So whatever we say, we say. FYI. So it ain't a scripted show. I don't have questions to throw at you or what questions you're going to answer. We just flow along with everything else. Again, I thank you for visiting the show, and we're going to be having some more guests next Sunday. Remember, Jesus loves you so do I. Peace and hair grease. All right, I'm out of here.